Hello everyone, welcome back to Believers Science Academy Bengaluru. This is the daily news analysis. Today, that is the 11th August of 2025, we will be discussing some important articles from the Hindu. And the first article is from the editorial of the Hindu, that is the difficult path for Trump's one big budget bet. Recently, the Trump administration has introduced one big budget bill, OBBB. So that bill aims to address the issues in the economy of the USA. The issues include large deficit and low tax to GDP ratio, and also low tax rate like revenues. Okay, so it wants to address all the issues. So the context here is the Department of Government Efficiency, that is DOGE, under the head of or under the leadership of Elon Musk. It is aimed at flagship downsizing reforms in the Trump second term. The goal is reduce US federal funding, deficit, debt, interest burden, and streamline operations, and finally improve efficiency. And advisor is the Elon Musk, and target to cut federal agencies from 400 plus to 99. All the departments which are not necessary and which are of less in importance will be cut down, and all the grants which are going to the departments which are not performing well, that will also be cut. So that is the root cause of USA's deficit and debt. Okay, USA is the largest economy in the world. We all know it is one of the most richest, and it is obviously the most powerful country in the world. Despite that, it has high deficit and high debt. That is, the paradox is the smallest government size among the major economic advisors. That is, around 36.49% of the GDP is from revenue side, and yet higher deficit, that is 0.6% of the 6.0% of the GDP, and higher debt, that is 119% of the GDP than major average economic major advanced economies average. Okay, so that is a paradox, and the reason is majorly because of the low revenue mobilization. That is, the total revenue is only around 30.55% of the GDP, which is the lowest among the major advanced economies, and the tax to GDP ratio is around 19% compared to 32.74% of the OECDs. Okay, OECD countries. And structural issues are mainly because of low corporate tax, low effective tax on the rich, and secrecy laws, which are resulting in the tax evasion. Because of this, the revenue mobilization is very less and tax collection is very less. So the DOGE initiatives are mainly aimed at expenditure cut and transparency tools. In expenditure cut, it focused on terminated unused leases and wasteful contracts, and then recovered misallocated funds. Workforce optimization, here it talks about hiring freezes, layoffs, and buyouts, and it will also use technology, that is AI based monitoring for productivity and inefficiency detection. And finally, consolidated overlapping functions and cut overseas aid, that is USAID. And transparency tools are, there will be payments portal, which will have recipient wise federal grant details, all the details of the grants, which department is receiving, what amount of grants, and what has been the outcome of it. And workforce portal, which deals with agency wise employer and employee data. And finally, workforce reshaping tools. It talks about modernized auto radio frequency for performance or seniority based layoffs. So these are the transparency tools, and the expected outcomes is that it will result in 90 billion savings, and then 2.6 lakh federal employees reduced, and $30.1 billion saved via deregulation, and 1.8 million words cut from rules, and unconstitutionality index, that is 19 bureaucratic rules for one congressional law in 2024. So the one big beautiful bill, what is it about? It is nothing but legislative extension of DOGE, that is to reduce deficit, increase the tax collection, and reduce spendings. So here it is a legislative extension of DOGE, combines fiscal priorities and efficiency reforms in just one law. And the controversy was that there was a tax credits given to electric vehicles. So there was now in this one big beautiful bill, that tax credits given to electric vehicles company has been removed. So it was criticized by Musk. That is the controversy, that Musk opposed the removal of EV tax credits in OBBB, which is in clash with the Trump. That is the recently there is a war between Trump and Elon Musk. And fiscal risk is next tax cuts in OBBB, that is greater than spending cuts. Projected rupees 3.2 trillion debt increase over the next decade. So they say that expenditure reforms alone are not going to reduce the debt or fiscal deficit. So there has to be revenue side measures as well, that is increasing the tax and curb tax evasion. Trump's one big one budget is unlikely to succeed if it doesn't address revenue side measures. Okay, that is the news. Second is another editorial from the Hindu. It talks about Election Commission of India's lack of transparency is worrying. The context is recently the special intensive revision of electoral rolls in Bihar of about 8 crore voters was announced by Election Commission of India on June 24. Plan to extend SIR to entire country without prior public consultation. And process is marked by secrecy and lack of transparency, raising credibility concerns. So the scale and impact of deletions, that is Bihar draft voter list after phase 1 says that 65 lakh names have been deleted. That is 27,000 per constituency. And in 2020, winning margin in second, third of the seats was less than this deletion figures. Okay, less than the 27,000 figures. And deletion reasons cited by Election Commission were that 22 lakh dead voters, 36 lakh permanently shifted or not found, and 7 lakh duplicate entries. So because of this, 65 lakh names have been deleted from Bihar. These are the reasons given by Election Commission. And there is no public list with reasons provided. That is impossible to verify the fairness. That is what are the claims that were given by the Election Commission. They do not have any public list with the reasons provided. And then the risk of disenfranchising marginalized communities and impacting electoral outcomes. So there is a lack of rational and missing evidence. Though the Election Commission has provided certain reasons that because of these reasons 65 lakh voters have been removed, but there is no evidence here. Undertaking nationwide special intensive revision is not routine because citizens have right to know the trigger. And Election Commission of India affidavit to Supreme Court says that said parties raised concerns about inaccuracies, and independent appraisals cited but not included in 800-page affidavit. So it says that absence of methodology and finding raises suspicion of arbitrary decision making or political pressures. Okay, this is why the author of this article criticizes Election Commission of India, that it is arbitrary decision making and it is because of the political pressure. And the citizens proof controversy, that is here Election Commission of India exempts only voters on 2003 Bihar rolls from providing citizenships. Question is, did Election Commission of India demand proof of citizenship in 2003? And former Election Commission says such mass document verification never happened before. So the current inconsistencies or documents fuels suspicion of National Register NRC, okay, National Register of Citizenship via backdoor. Okay, the NRC was a big issue in the recent 3-4 years. The NRC was carried out in Assam because of the Supreme Court intervention, and there was suspicion that this NRC can be carried forward throughout the India. When the NRC is carried forward, it will result in most of the immigrants or people without any documents to be sent back from India. They will be considered as non-citizens. So they are saying that they are not doing NRC from the front door, instead they are doing the NRC from the back door. That is a suspicion. Records of 2003 roll revision is missing from the public domain and Election Commission of India's archives. Next, the risk of opaqueness is that failing to prove citizenship could lead to referral under Citizenship Act of 1955 beyond loss of voting rights. Non-transparency in SIR risks electoral legitimacy, trust in institutions, and democratic integrity. So, in the key insight is transparency in electoral roll revisions is essential for safeguarding electoral democracy. Without clear rational evidence and public oversight, such large-scale revisions can become tools for disenfranchisement, which is against the ideals of democracy. So that is why the case should be taken, and this has to be addressed in Bihar first, and then it has to be taken forward throughout the India. and it should not be a precursor to NRC. Okay. Next, this is from the text and context of Hindu. It talks about what is Telangana's Kaleshwaram project, what is it, and why it is in news, why the names have been shifted, and why the place has been shifted. We'll discuss this. The Kaleshwaram lift irrigation project is a multi-purpose irrigation project on the Godavari River in Kaleshwaram, Bhopalpalli in Telangana. So conceived by BRS government under K. Chandrasekhar Rao. World's largest multi-stage irrigation project with 1,800 kilometer canal networks, and goal is irrigation to 16 plus lakh acres in 13 districts, stabilization of existing Ayakat, and drinking water supply to Hyderabad and villages, industrial use. So it is a multi-purpose irrigation project which is going to not only help with respect to agriculture, drinking water, but also industrial use. So this is the image of Kaleshwaram project. So the project infrastructure is, there will be barrages built at Ramadugu, Medigadda, Sundilla and Annaram. At these four areas, the barricades will be built like this. Barrages will be built like this. Initial cost was around 71,000 crore and it has been escalated to 1 lakh plus crore now. Finishing works to add more cost, and the storage capacity is around 240 TMC feet. 169 is for irrigation, 30 for Hyderabad drinking water, 16 for industrial and 10 for villages. But the controversy and allegations are the location shift. The location was shifted from Tummidihatti to Medigadda despite hydrologic clearance from the farmer. The reason was non-availability of water at Tummidihatti, and CWC estimate contradicted this. They say that there are 200 plus TMC feet available in the Tummidihatti, then why did you change it? And the loss of previous project is that 30% of Pranahita Chavella Sujala Savanti PCCS works worth 11,000 crore already completed at Tummidihatti or wasted now. Okay, it is one of the recurring issues that is happening in Telangana and Hyderabad, like Andhra Pradesh, that what are the work done by the previous government are being left out there, and then it is carried forward in the next work. So now 11,000 crore of the taxpayers is wasted now. Next, foundation issues. Barrages are allegedly built on permeable foundations, making them vulnerable to heavy inflows. So this is about Kaleshwaram. And then there are structural failures, that is Sandilla barrage piers sank recently, and Annam and Skudilla's cracks after impounding water against the technical advice. And the decision making is that allegations that KCR bypassed the state cabinet in approving the project. These are very political in nature. We don't need that. We just need to know about Kaleshwaram drip irrigation project. So judicial inquiry, that judiciary has set up a Congress election promises that there has to be probe into KLA lapses, and one-man commission headed by Justice Pinaki Chandra Gose is looking after these issues, and duration is 15 months and witnesses examined is 110 plus people. And the key figures questioned are KCR, T. Harish Rao, Yatala Rajendra. Yatala criticized the negligent and indifferent attitude in fund release. So these are not necessary for us, and the BRS response, it is also not necessary. So KLIP, that is Kaleshwaram lift irrigation project, is important for us. It is built on Godavari River. It is in Telangana. Aim is agriculture, irrigation, water and industrial use. Okay, that is all. Next, so recently there has been a new rules on chemically contaminated sites. So we will see what are these new rules on chemically contaminated sites. The Environment Ministry has notified the Environment Protection Management of Contaminated Sites Rules 2025 under Environment Protection Act. Okay, this act has to be important. The act you should remember, 1986 Environment Protection Act. These rules provide first legal framework for identifying, assessing and remediating chemically contaminated sites in India. All these things will be dealt by these new rules. What are contaminated sites? Defined by Central Pollution Control Board as sites where hazardous and other waste were historically dumped, leading to soil, groundwater and surface water contamination. Examples include landfills, dumps, spill sites, chemical waste storage areas, etc. Currently, 103 sites have been identified. Remediation started only in 7 sites. So 96 states are still awaiting their remediation. Why were the rules needed? So, origin in 2010 of capacity building program for industrial pollution management project was aimed at creating inventory for probable contaminated sites, guidance document for site assessment and remediation, legal, institutional, and financial framework for remediation. When the first two steps existed, the legal framework was missing until now. So we will see this legal framework is now being carried forward by these new rules. Okay, and then the process under the new rules are: district administration submits half yearly reports on suspected contaminated sites, and then it goes to state board or reference organization, which conducts preliminary assessment within 90 days, and then it goes to detailed survey, which will be completed within 3 months to confirm the contamination. And if hazardous chemicals, there are 189 chemicals which are listed under the 2016 rules. If they are found or if they exceed certain limits, then publicize the location, restrict access, and prepare remediation plan. And identify the polluters. They must pay for the remediation, else center or state bears the cost. If they are not able to identify the polluters, then center or state has to bear the cost. And criminal liability under Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023 if the contamination causes death or damage. So it is very comprehensive in nature, from district to state board, detailed survey, and if found, then it will lead to publicizing the locations, restricting the access, and preparing the remediation plan. And the payment is done by either polluters, and if the state or center is not able to find the polluters, then they have to pay the money. Next, exemptions are: it is not applicable to contamination from radioactive waste, mining operations, oil pollution at sea, solid waste from dump sites. And also there is no timeline mandated for restoring a contaminated site to safe levels, which is a major gap. Okay, so this is about new chemically contaminated sites rules. And the fifth article is about bridging home cover gaps amid the rising climate shocks. It talks about the issue with respect to insurance. 2025 events, that is tremors in Delhi NCR, floods in North India, cloud bursts in Himachal, and massive floods in Assam, highlight growing climate vulnerability and the significance of these hazards, which are high in frequency and high in intensity as well. Then the recurring disasters, from Maharashtra floods in 21 to Uttarakhand cloudburst in 2023 and Karnataka floods in 2024, India faces annual extreme events. And the natural disaster exposure leads to 59% of India's land mass at moderate to severe earthquake risk, and increased frequency of floods, landslide, lightning, and urban floods. And natural disaster is now the top reason for considering home insurance. Now, however, despite all these issues, the home adoption remains low. Why is it? That is, only 39% of these considering home insurance are actually purchased it. Key barriers are confusion about comparing policies or inclusion, project perceived irrelevance, that is 23% believe it's unnecessary, and then drop off before purchase due to lack of clarity or urgency, and many existing home loan linked insurances only cover the structure, not the belongings. So this is why there are certain drawbacks. One is confusion, and other believe the irrelevance, that disaster is not going to happen. Even if you pay the premium, you are not going to use it. And others will drop off before the purchase due to lack of clarity. So these are the issues why home insurance adoption remains low despite the need. Other triggers for home insurance are ongoing home loans, that 31% see insurance as essential for protecting the investment, and theft risk, that is 30% value protection for household belongings, especially in fast growing urban areas. And then expanding risk beyond cities, that is understanding the geographical vulnerability in earthquake prone zones in Gujarat and Northeast, cyclone prone coast in Odisha, West Bengal, and Tamil Nadu. Smaller towns face growing exposure as real estate spreads beyond tier 1 cities. India ranks among the top 5 globally in economic losses from the natural catastrophes. That is why the insurance is very important for us. And market growth and innovation, that is the market size is around 9.57 billion and projected to grow into 18.7 billion. And industry responses are digital onboarding, airport underwriting, and claim automation. So these are the technology interventions by the companies. The way forward, the main challenge is the lack of consumer trust, awareness, and understanding of the coverage benefits. And the core message is home insurance must shift from reactive to proactive adoption. In 2025, it is no longer a luxury but a necessity for home resilience, especially in the context of increasing climate hazards. Next, in the previous pointers, the first one is National Organ and Tissue Transport Organization, that is NOTTO. Recent update is that it issued 10-point advisory giving priority to women patients and relatives of the deceased donors awaiting organ transplants. About NATO or NOTO, that is, it is the national level body under the Directorate General of Health Services, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, New Delhi. Established under the Transplantation of Human Organs and Tissues Act of 2011, coordinates and networks for procurement and distribution of organs and tissues, registry of organ and tissue donation and transplantation, and the structure is National Human Organ and Tissue Removal and Storage Network, and manages organ allocation and storage, and National Biomaterial Center stores and distributes biomaterials for research and treatment. And the key functions are formulates policy guidelines and protocols for organ transplantation, creates a national registry compiling state and regional data, promotes awareness on disease organ donation, coordinates organ allocation across regions, maintains a data bank on transplant activities, provides consultancy on legal and non-legal aspect of transplantation, assists state in data management, surveillance and registry maintenance, organizes training programs for medical professionals and coordinations. So very important organization, that is NATO. Next is Manas Helpline, combating drug menace. So the overview of this Manas Helpline, the full form is Madak Padarth Nishid Asuchana Kendra. Okay, so launched on 18 July 2024 by the Government of India, a secure, bilingual, citizen-centric platform for anonymous reporting and rehabilitation support. Objective is empower citizens to report drug trafficking, illicit cultivation and related offences, provide counseling and rehabilitation support, strengthen public participation in the drug-free Bharat campaign. Key features are anonymous reporting of drug-related offences, unified, secure and bilingual interface with Hindi and English, and seamless multi-channel access, phone, web portal and My Government, and integration with the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, helpline 1446 for rehabilitation guidance, access to awareness materials, all will be provided under Manas helpline, and it is also resulting in citizen engagement, awareness drives via quizzes, poster making, reel making content on mygovernment.in, public outreach resources to promote anti-drug awareness, encourages active community involvement in prevention efforts and significance, combines law enforcement, public awareness and rehabilitation in a single platform, aims to create more proactive citizen network to counter the drug menace. So these are the articles which I want to discuss with you today. So the total is 7 articles I will discuss, with the 5 for mains and 2 for prelims pointers. If you like the video, then please hit the like button, comment on it and also share with your friends. And if you have any suggestions for me, write down in the comment box as well. And if you are new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and also click on the bell icon so that you don't miss any notification. With this, I will end the video. Jai Hind.